So good day, good morning, and welcome to Vibrant Kenya's, Building in Kenya's anniversary webinar, celebration webinar. Apologies for that. We've been doing a three-series webinar with our partners, Vibrant Kenya, and this one is ours that we're hosting, and we are putting on in celebration. So welcome, my name is Robyn Emerson, and this is
Miloyo.
This is Miloyo. We are the co-authors of Building in Kenya. We are so excited to be here today. This is a huge milestone for us. It is 1 year, Emma, 1 year since we launched the publication of the book, the first and only real estate developers toolkit. And so we didn't want to let this day go by without marking it. And so thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much. We apologize for being late. We had some technical glitches, if you will. And so that is just part of, all of us that are in here and building and doing things, we're used to that. But the thing is, just like they say on Broadway, on with the show. We must go on with the show. So let us go ahead and get started. Emma, do you mind introducing the panel?
I'd love to.
Okay, great.
Yes. Just so in order of my street, and they're all people who are very well known to us, captains of industry, in people who've built before, people who have expertise in terms of selling buildings, in terms of raising capital, and I'll just start, ladies first. I'll start with Mary Mulwa. She's CEO of Realite, a powerhouse in terms of property management and agency. If you want to sell anything, if you want to sell ice to Eskimos, here's the link to you there. Then down there we've got, I'm just going the order of my screen, we've got Bengi, accomplished advocate, got tired of the courtrooms and wearing suits and decided to dive into the space of development with the experience he had in conveyancy, and he'll be telling us how those two courts compare, the court of building and the court of law, and what his experience has been. He's done some phenomenal projects, some of which I'm the architect, and he really innovative in terms of how to deliver affordable housing to Kenyans who deserve it, actually. Yes. Then just hold on, sorry. I have someone's calling. Block that. Sorry about that. We've got Kariba Moko of Moad. I don't know how to pronounce it. I say Moad. I don't know if it's Moad. But he'll be correcting me, I'm sure. Kariba is also a developer in his own right, has had a lot of experience in the building industry, and also in terms of just raising funds. And he'll be telling us a little bit also about financing and financing building projects and how to do that innovatively and what his journey has been. So we're looking back 12 months, we're looking back 3 months, and we're looking back at all our experiences as the panelists today. So I hope we'll have a wonderful show, and over to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you again, all of you panelists, for being with us and bringing your expertise. As we look at, there have been some real changes in the real estate sector over the last 12 months, and then more specifically since March 17th, when we got our first directive with health restrictions that impacted the economy, that impacted the way that we do business, and impacted our sector. And so we want to just take a moment to look back. What has actually happened? What have you seen happen over those 12 months? And again, a lot of when we talk about the changes in the sector, we can't blame what is happening in real estate today all on COVID. There were a lot of things that have happened in the sector, some hindrances, and some opportunities that have come that were pre-COVID, that are giving us the environment that we're doing our work in today. But yes, when COVID came, it did bring a hard hand down on the way that we exercise and the way that we do our work. So we just want to take a moment and look back and appreciate that. we're not just going to stay in the look back, though. We want to look back. Well, what's the future? What do you see now is the future? How have you adjusted? That's why we've invited you here. We know that you are, leaders in the sector who are riding this wave, who are thriving in this time. And how are you doing that? What advice might you give? And so let me just start with that, if you don't mind. Maybe you can just tell us, in your opinion, in your view, where you sit, if you look back, what can you see are the three key things that stand out for you over the last year as both challenges and then the other side of opportunities? We'd love to maybe hear from each of you. So I'm going to start with Eric, if you don't mind. Eric, if you don't mind, what would you say, what stands out for you as three things that have been, the greatest challenges in our sector as you launched your recent development? What are the three things that are the hurdles that you've had to keep overcoming or trying to find a new way around them in our sector? And then what are the three things that you were like, yes, this is a great opportunity. This is a new opening for us. What would you say about that, Eric?
Thank you very much, Robyn. For me, let me start on the positive side, on the opportunities. First and foremost, everybody lives in a house and everybody lives in a home. So I don't think we'll ever be able to sufficiently serve and consume that need. So there's still a very big opportunity in real estate because people need to live somewhere. Secondly, as you have noticed, and even from the government policies dating back to last 3 years, we are talking of affordable housing, and that has been one of the big four agenda. And yes, the government has rolled out a couple of projects, and I don't think the market is exhausted. So again, we still have a very big gap there. More so, over the last 10 years, we have seen quite an increase even in our local tourism and the way the tourism has evolved, even in terms of accommodation. Airbnb has come and taken over the market, and it's a big thing. So even in upcountry regions, there's still a big opportunity when it comes to real estate and housing. That said, the market has not had any challenges, and one of the things, especially for the Nairobians, last year was one of those times that the county government closed a whole department and everything came to a standstill. Of course, the ripple effect is felt down the stream to the consumers and to the developers. And it impacts a lot even on the way we do business. Secondly, you are aware the last 3 or so years we have been trying to digitize our registries, and as a result we have had very many closures for one reason or the other, both the central registry and the upcountry registries. So again, it has affected a lot in the way we are doing our businesses, not only for the real estate players, but also for the consultants who are involved in that. Then one of the bigger challenges that has happened in the last 3 years was the interest rate capping. And we thought it's a small thing, but the way it has impacted, especially the real estate sector, has been in a major way. When you look at many of the projects, they actually stalled because of lack of financing. The adjustments that we thought we were trying to cure did not exactly happen the way we had expected it. So it has been a mix of things, but by and large, if it is all smooth, I don't think we'll be learning anything. But for the challenges that we have experienced, I think we need to keep on sharpening our skills and sharpening our acts to get things right and overcome them and move on. We still have to, we have a long way to live and move on.
Yeah. Okay.
Robyn, I mean, that's very in terms of Eric's perspective that COVID has brought out that home is very important, even more than ever before. People's
Absolutely.
sentimentalism and emotional connection to the home is felt during this period, and I think there's an opportunity that people are thinking about their houses and where they live a bit more than before. So I think that's a very great perspective. Thank you, Eric.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We're very thankful for that.
yes, there's some things that I think we will look back and say thank you, COVID, for some of these, because it is, like you said, it is a rising. A lot of things we've talked about for years, but it is bringing on the forefront that's really making it happen. Mary, maybe I can come to you and ask you, what have you seen over the past? What would you say if you look back over the last 12 months or so about what have been some challenges? And I know you interact with a lot of, Mary interacts with also people on all sides of the sector. And so she knows where the shoe is pinching for a lot of people and a lot of people's different size shoes and styles of shoes, if you will. And so maybe, Mary, you can share this. What do you see been some challenges, new challenges that arise over the last year? And Mary, what are you hearing from people in this COVID period in terms of the sentiments about the sector?
Now, I think Eric has covered quite a bit of the challenges that we all have experienced. But on top of that, I would not emphasize more that what we are finding is that everybody that has savings is almost thinking about owning a home right now. Anybody that had postponed that decision is talking about it even if they don't have financing. So what I'm expecting is that we are probably going to go into a very interesting area. What I've also heard a lot are people that own plots are already talking about how can I be helped to build on that plot. And I think that is also something that is going to emerge where I have a plot. How can somebody help me to put up a home? Because now than ever before, what we are finding is that people are laid off, they are living in houses they cannot afford, they've been forced to move out. Some are really begging to be allowed to stay and they cannot afford, but this has happened due to COVID. There was already a challenge, a downturn in the economy that was pre-COVID. Most of it because of some of the things that Eric said, but what I would want to point out is that we had challenges with government payments. And in Kenya, as most people will tell you, the government spending happens to actually affect the economy a lot. So when the government is not spending as much and paying contractors and paying counties that it's supposed to pay, a lot of the ripple effects happen because most SMEs do business with government. So when that happened, and also there was a lot of importation challenges that also happened to the people that were in the SME space. And since I have a lot of these in my commercial office spaces, we went through a lot of challenges when the government started cracking down on importation. A lot of people actually lost all their businesses. If you go downtown right now, you find a lot of closed businesses which never used to happen. And I think that's also affecting the SMEs and the fact that the interest rate caps cause them not to be able to access financing, even to be able to come back on, had already put a lot of strain in the sector before COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, it's like the last nail on most of these people's coffins. So what we've experienced is that a lot of people are already downsizing from bigger offices to smaller offices. Some are completely closing down to work from the houses when they can. And some are opting now to go online. And so I think a lot of things are going to change. On the home front, Eric, you need to start designing homes with offices. Because I think work from home is going to be something that is here to stay, and we don't always want to hear children when they have meetings. So we need you to provide solutions to that. That would be my take.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mary. you've hit the nail on the head, and there's a lot of things for us to look at in a few moments of what's, you pointed to it, that there are going to be some new realities for the needs related to real estate in the future. In one of our webinars, we talked about, the impact on landlords as yourself when some of these commercial spaces people are rethinking their business models and not needing such a large footprint. So what does that mean for repurposing some of that space? Is that what's the future of real estate? But then, as you mentioned, we also talked about, that people's design of homes are going to be different. They're going to think, I need somewhere to work, and it can't just be someplace that I just
the dining table.
Yeah, exactly. It can't just be the dining table. I actually need a dedicated space. And so, what does that mean for design? Our designers and financiers, and even from a tax perspective. I don't know if that's something that Kariba, in terms of finance and so forth, because even the tax structure at some point, there was a tax relief for people allocating space in their home where they were working, but that was taken off the books in 2017 or 2018. Is it appropriate for that to come back if more people are doing actually appropriate, dedicating space in their home for business? So, Kariba, if I could ask the same question to you. From where you sit, what would you say that the whole 12 months, and also this this tight period in the COVID experience or pandemic experience we're in, how has real estate changed?
Well. So I'll try not to repeat anything Eric exhaustively covered, and also some of the experience that Mary shared. But I think for us as a company, well, before COVID, we'd already seen a lot of these challenges where we'd go on sales and marketing runs, and then you're finding a lot of signups because the product that you have in the marketplace is amazing, but all the clients have this underlying, and Kenyans don't come and tell you, I don't have money. They say, what shall we speak in 3 months? Then your sales guy calls in 3 months, he's told, but hey, I'm in a call. Let me talk to you in about a month. Yes, I'm in a small meeting. For the 88 participants, we know you. We know you. So we knew if as developers we don't answer credit, then we are doomed. So one of the things, like for us, and COVID has just made this 100 times easier for us to push, is, and it's something that also I know Eric will have to start considering now, is we're gonna have to slowly start looking at how to edge out the bank, because the bank has now become a conversation where they will not take risk actually till about 50% of the project is done. Before, I think one thing that I used to like in the previous regime is that they had a bigger risk appetite. At 0 to almost 10% of your project starting, you'd find the bank wanting to play there. So one of the things as a firm that we did is last year we joined the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So we're actually trying to fundraise through private money. And what we're basically coming to a realization is, look, you can't always expect that, the old model has been, you will build with some of the owner's equity and a good chunk of sales run. But that's not happening right now. So we're gonna have to, if you look at advanced markets, Dubai, etc., what helped them really pick up is where the government came and said, look, we'll give you some subsidies as a developer, put up your structure. Let guys come and start paying you when the structure is up. So I know one of the things that COVID is going to do is the developers that are able to put up units fast enough and enable people to move from wherever they're paying rent into their units and own. That will be a game changer in this market. I know we've had rent to own models from as far back as 10, 15 years ago. There's a lot of government projects that were sold through such schemes. But I think for developers now, we're going to have to get to a level, and that's where, as Moad Capital now, we want to try and play, where we are also helping developers. I think as an industry, we need to get to this place where every time media shines the spotlight on real estate, it's on positive things happening, not stalled projects and whatnot. So for us, credit schemes have become the new norm. Of course, I'm also excited to see that government is trying to push that pension conversation, because that puts money in people's hands and allows them then to plug in to real estate. And especially on this conversation that Mary mentioned, where plot owners are now saying, who can help me? I think if they're able to tap into that, that's a big help. Of course, for us, I think because we looked at the hard scenarios first, COVID has kind of helped us to start making wins. So the things that we're now doing is now actually going back to all those people who now no longer, because of COVID, are no longer in meetings, they're at home, to try and tell them, hey, look, we have all these facilities. For us, one of the things that we've done is we have a 5-year product. And I don't know if I'm able to share the link, but we have, we created a 5-year payment structure. So what we're telling our buyers is, look, you're paying rent 80,000 in Kileleshwa, and you're not able to afford that. Consider moving, and we can give you a product where you can pay as little as 55,000 a month, and you'll basically have a home in 5 years. Now, what that does is that it basically taps into what is the Kenyan way of acquiring, which is, yes, I'm employed, but I'm hustling here, I'm hustling there. Mary here is running a really good sales firm, but if she tells you how many other hustles she has on the side, they're almost 50. So what we're saying is, unlike the bank, we're more approachable. So we don't care how many things you have to do to make the payment.
Well,
as long as you make the payments, then
yeah. So
yeah. So that's what we're looking at as a company, and just creating instruments that work for our buyers. And on the offers of this meeting, I've put up the offer that we have. So if you use the meeting code BIKE, Building in Kenya, BIKE, will give you a small discount if you come to our website and order from this webinar. Thanks, Emma.
That's awesome.
wow, thank you
Great.
so much, Kariba.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Mary, can you give away a house?
Mary, what are you offering? Okay.
Actually, just following up on what Kariba is saying, we really need to very quickly rethink.
But you guys have time to. Yeah.
Pardon? Sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, we really need to very quickly rethink of how to get our customers to get the right products. In fact, as we speak, yesterday I broke ground for our latest project, Egoli Premier. It's on Gong Road. For the participants on this webinar, just give us a call. Our number is 07. Sorry, I don't know it offhand. Let me get you that number.
It's okay. Someone can put it on the chat.
Yeah, ask somebody to put
You
it in
can
the
put
chat for you.
you can put it on the chat.
Harry,
Yes.
tell them to
Yeah,
call me.
that's
I'll hook
exactly
them
what
up.
that's
In
exactly
fact,
what this is for.
whether you
Listen,
come through
the
Mary,
97 of you. Oh.
whether you come
Eric?
through Mary is also selling for us. Whether you come through Mary or you come directly, today's discount is at 5.5 for a beautiful large 1-bedroom unit serviced. And I think that is where we need to take the conversation forward. Our number is 0700 386 070.
Okay.
Robyn, so the conversation is a lot about buying. What if I want to, build my own?
Yeah.
What if I want to be a developer?
Yeah.
What if I want to build my own home?
Yes, exactly. And I think even Mary mentioned it a moment ago that some people, she thinks that there is quite a number of people that are going to be looking out at that plot of land that they have. Mary, what are the pros and cons that you lead people down to thinking when they're considering buying or building? What are the pros and cons you try to lead people down?
Now, the question of whether to build or buy is has been a really thorny issue for a lot of people. Because each of them has its own advantages and disadvantages. When it comes to building your own, you will customize it to whatever you want. You can afford to dream and dream wild. But the other thing is that if you know what you're doing, it ends up being cheaper. If you don't know what you're doing, it ends up being more expensive. And that is one of the biggest challenges about building for your own. And I've done both. I've bought, I've built. And so when I built my first project, some of the challenges that I went through is that I because of my background experience, and it is very challenging if you don't have a background in real estate, like some of us, to actually go into this space. And maybe what they should start is by getting your book building in Kenya to start understanding some of these things, you know. But, for me, who has a background, I opted to manage my own project. I didn't get a project manager, but I knew exactly what I wanted. A lot of people don't even know that. I'd seen a lot of homes because I started out as a valuer. So I went into a lot of homes doing appraisals. So I kind of knew exactly what I wanted, the space I wanted, how big project I wanted. I knew the conversions of square feet and square meters, which a lot of people don't know. And so I was coming into the space with a lot of knowledge coming from my background. And so when I opted to manage my own project, it was very easy even for me to get contacts of a good foreman, get contact of a good engineer, a good architect, because of all that. And when you come into that space, what you find out is all you know is still not enough. Because now you go into the world of people called fundis who have a mind of their own. And managing them day to day is quite challenging. I can see Eric is already smiling at that, because now you have to interact with very many skilled people of different kinds, from the people doing your substructure to the people doing your concrete, your masons. And then you go into the finishing, the roof requires somebody different, the tiles require somebody different, your plumber, your electrician. And it was quite a whole roller coaster. It keeps you awake at night. And it is not for the faint-hearted. I'll tell you that for free. Construction is not for the faint-hearted. It was a journey. If you don't have the money to go through the learning curve, it is not what you want to do. The buying is for somebody who wants to go, put in the money, and in a maximum of 3 months, if you're buying an already built unit, you're already in your unit. Buying also has a challenge, especially in Kenya, and that has to do with what Kariba was saying, that we do not have a very good experience with a lot of off-plan constructions, and there are many people that have burnt their fingers, invested a lot of money, and they have nothing to show for it. We are working on making sure that we get a bit of credibility so that people do not have to wait until a unit is complete for them to trust that it will come. It will come alive, because that is what we are finding with our buyers right now. Nobody is willing to spend any money on a unit until finishes start going in place. Eric, I know you know that, because they will quote for you all the people that have lost their money with all these promises that were never fulfilled. So if you're buying a ready unit, the good thing is that you're paying your money and you're almost immediately taking possession. So that works for somebody with money or somebody going into the bank to borrow. But if you have the piecemeal kind of financing, you want to use your financing slowly. Basically, Kenya is also a cash-based, almost entirely property industry. Very few people take mortgages to buy their units. Most people will opt to go for short-term loan, their circle loans, and they will just do it pole. As a result, that is why most people opt to build, but also people are opting now to adopt what Moad Capital is bringing on board, where people pay rent to own. That worked in the past quite well. I'm yet to see. There are quite a few people with such projects, but I'm yet to see something that has been very successful like in the past. This is a very, very good option if we can make it succeed in our market, because this is a very easy way for people to, as opposed to keep paying rent and you have nothing to show for it. Maybe some people have been in a unit for 10 years, you've not paid your rent for 2 months, we kick you out. And imagining how much money has already got into the landlord, and they are not willing to listen. They tell you, I have my own loans, I have my own challenges. So whether to build or to buy will entirely depend on what somebody is willing to take as risks, and whether they have money for the learning curve, because you more often than not lose money in your first project, but you've got to be willing to continue building to learn. If you're not also faint-hearted, you need to have a lot of guts to go into it, then that's for you.
Okay, wonderful. I think that you brought up some good points, and I want to bring it back to Kariba. If when people are coming to you for financing, and if it's a developer, what's the expertise or knowledge? What are you seeing that developers, the knowledge base or the bankable, if you will, bankable projects that they've done their homework? Where do you see the gaps in knowledge, if you will, are putting together something that is bankable, that's tempered in reality? I think a lot of times developers, I've worked on a lot of projects that, we're still stuck in that romantic period of, I need a 45% return. If that is never coming back, we are never going to see that again. What do you see are the gaps with developers in putting a project that's bankable in reality, that's knowledge-based, that is something that you and your financiers can get behind? What are you seeing are the gaps and the challenges there?
Well, so I think the main challenge I see from a developer perspective is quick exits. As you said, so your project manager models for you that I'll do this project in 2 years. So in your head, you're like, okay, so after 2 years, I want to exit in 2.5 years. But the reality on the ground is you're most likely going to be there for 4 or 5 years. Now, if you've then not modeled that, or are not patient to wait for your money that long, then you try and quietly have a conversation with the bank, who, as Mary said, act the same way as landlords. Banks are even worse because they'll foreclose. At least this one kicks you out and gives you an opportunity to go to another house. This one forecloses your project and you're done. So the challenge I see from a developer perspective is you now need to model your returns over a slightly longer period. I think gone are the days where you could come and say, look, my project has a ROI of 26%, modeled over the next 5 years. You're going to need to take that a bit longer, have a 10-year schedule of drawdowns, ideally, because if you're financing people on your project to own and you're giving them, say, 5 years for them to pay you, then you need to be a bit more realistic with what their payment schedules are. Now, these models have worked in other economies. I think here it's just that maybe we were spoiled by the previous regime who gave us, who put us on a cocaine diet, so we were always high. This current regime is anti-drugs, so they want to make us as sober as possible. So we are back to we're back to normal. So while we're normal, this is just going to have to be a reality. Of course, please note, everything I'm saying could change in 2022, and we could be back to a bit more flexibilities in the marketplace. At which case, then we will be happy. But in the short term, I think let's work with the rehabilitation program, and let's let's just give the best benefit to the end user. And as Jack Ma said, the business person that will survive this period then will have been successful. So I think right now, just do what you can to survive, and go easy on the end user, because people are going through challenges that were not precedented. So if you then don't use that, if you don't look at them that way, then you're going to be expecting a very tough market. But yeah, we just learned how to be flexible. And we're seeing the same thing even in the stock market. Most investors now are agreeing to slightly more lenient terms of negotiation. Yeah.
Okay, so that's great. Survival. The game now is just treading water.
Right.
Yeah. Survive. You survive this, then. So I think that's a good point. I'm just curious to something about just the stock market and how you're able to finance your projects. So that might be something interesting that the developers in the room might be interested in exploring, some new innovative ways of financing projects.
Yeah. So if you look at the stock market, and it was actually a conversation we are having with Eric as you're
waiting for KPLC to...
Yes, as I was waiting for KPLC to bring you back. Every time you mention sustainability to a developer, if Mary has not told Eric that people are asking for green projects, Eric will not bother. So as a company, we've just said, look, we need to start going to developers and asking them, can we build sustainable projects? Because end of the day, you're building so that people take off from you. So you've got to give them sustainable projects either way. Now, one of the things, 2 years ago, I used to sound, and even my partner used to sound like a mad, well, I'd sound like a mad woman, she'd sound like a mad, I'd sound like a madman, and she'd sound like a mad woman. Whenever we'd go and start talking about green and sustainability and all that, and circular economy, which we're very passionate about. But let me give you statistics from the Nairobi Stock Exchange right now. Corporate bonds are dead. Nakumat and who else, and all these other corporates really made a mess of the corporate bonds market. Actually, I'm happy that companies like Centum really worked hard to still give that space credibility by successfully exiting and paying back their corporate bond responsibilities. Now, if you look at the green bond market, it's a new market. The preferred method of certification is using a tool called EDGE, which is developed by the World Bank. And Aecon floated a 4.8 billion green bond. They were 80% oversubscribed. You haven't had that for quite a while. So there's a growing, actually, since Kengen, and I don't know who else. So there's a growing quiet need for green projects. It's a conversation out there, finally Europe has realized that if we don't make the rest of the world green, ice will melt and wash us back to Africa. And they're like, now this time they won't come back as colonialists. They'll just be on our terms. So just a joke. So we really need to look at how we can be green as a planet. Now, as a developer then, these instruments are opening up, and you don't necessarily have to be listed at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Aecon went through private introduction. Now, one of the things, for example, as Moad Capital that we can help you through is we have Frida, who is the lead on sustainability, is actually an EDGE expert. So we can take you through that process and help your project to be green certified. And now with the experience that we're getting from the Nairobi Stock Exchange, we can even point you to where the money is and where the money isn't. Because one of the challenges that we also face as developers is there's too many brokers saying that they can deliver. And for a developer, you really don't want to waste your time on conversations. For you just want to put up your structures and get it done. So that's one thing that we are slowly molding our company to do, to really offer solutions to developers. Because one of the things I've noticed is that we're really punished. Everyone thinks it's the developer. Bank messes you up, it's not the developer, it's the bank that did not disperse funds on time. So we're really now really championing for the developer to come out winning at the end of the process. So that's really working for us, yeah. And we hope for a few more companies to list their projects as green bonds, yeah. And we can help them do that.
Yeah. So there are many ways to actually play in the real estate market. You can buy, you can build, but you can even invest fire, and that's less stressful, as it were, as compared to the rest. So there are many models coming up.
I just wanted to bring the question to Rick, if you will. In this period, what have you done I think you launched a project recently?
Yesterday,
yes. You launched a project. You launched the project yesterday. Kudos for that. What were the challenges or the things that went through your head on March 17th? Well, I'm sorry, that's the Monday. March 17th was a Monday for me. Yeah. So the Monday that you woke up and you're in this new reality, if you will, and you're like, I don't know what stage you were. You must have been quite far along in the project. What went through your head that what did you put into place? Like, we're still going, let's keep moving. What adjustments did you, so that you could be successful today?
Yeah, regarding that, to be very honest with you, when March 17th came, we also a black curtain rolled down, and we knew this is it. This is the end of everything. But yes, some predicted it will be the end of the world, and a lot of images. But number one, you need to live in hope. The main realization that we need to have even today is that we have not brought ourselves here. We are here by the grace of a supernatural being. Whether you believe it, you don't believe it, that's a different story. Now, one of the things that we have gone back and evaluated and looked at is that number one, yes, the economy is what it is. The market is, the environment where we are playing is as it is. We have a lockdown. Yes, COVID is here. COVID is here to stay. But we also have a responsibility to our customers. The model that we adopt in our projects is to try as much as possible to have an end-to-end financing gap. Because when we identify a project, first and foremost, we sit down and cost it, do the numbers, crunch the sizes, ensure that yes, it makes sense for the market, for the customer. We do our market research, ensure that it is suitable for the zone. Then the second thing, of course, is to look at the budget. Does it make sense? What are the customers saying about it? And then for us, we invite a group of financiers, equity partners, to come in with us and finance a particular gap before we go to the market to do pre-sales. And even by the time COVID was coming in, we had already done so many pre-sales. I think we are now at about 50%. So we owe a responsibility to these customers. The ones who have already paid, they are saying, okay, a few of them panicked because of the uncertainty on the jobs and on the sources of their incomes. But 1 month, 2 months down the line, people are saying, no, we need to reorganize ourselves and pick up our pieces and start moving on. As you've heard Mary saying, people are now seriously considering owning their own homes because rent has become a pain in the flesh. The other thing that we came to realize, and this one we picked it up much earlier when we were setting up this company, is that Kenya is substantially a cash economy. Many of the people who invest, whether in real estate or even in other sectors, they do not necessarily have very regular incomes or bankable, or they are not really what would you call a pleasing bankable customer to the bank. Many of them are entrepreneurs, SMEs, tenderpreneurs, as they were then called, and they have a way of earning their money. The other thing we realize as well is that Kenyans are very enterprising, and you'll actually find them in businesses that you never imagined. But if somebody sat down to analyze for you how they earn their income, it may not make sense. For instance, in my life as a lawyer, and we still work for very many banks, a customer comes and says that for me, I have an income of about 800,000 because he's gone to the Kijiji and he has rented a space and he has built some Kijiji houses there, and he collects his money. And yes, you can see consistently he has money that comes to his account, but he has no asset. There's nothing for him to mortgage or to give in as security. So you have all those challenges. And we realize that we have so many customers out there who are very capable, but they just require a model that they can fit in. And that's how we came up with Egoli as a partnership with our customers. We agree on a model that is not really based on interest for the customers to finance or to buy the house or the unit as the development continues. It is a model of financing in a way, because the customer dictates what they can actually afford. And when we have, after COVID, and we had a conversation with our customers, they said, look, in the short run, we'll be strained, but economy is opening. In the longer run, things are getting back to normal. We are ready to make a little adjustment on our commitment for payments, and then we are ready to go. And based on looking at our numbers, we are actually very comfortable to start off, and that's why we decided, you know what, let's not waste time. Let's start off the project and deliver what we promised. I still feel
great. That's great, Eric. Sorry?
I still feel that the market is still very vibrant. There's a lot that we can get out of it. And for as long as the customers are willing and you have mutual respect with the customers and you understand what they are going through and you adjust accordingly, then it is a win-win situation for all of us.
That's good. Thanks. I like that message of hope that there's still it's a vibrant market. That I think Michael Joseph said Kenyans are peculiar. Our economy is peculiar, and what happens in the West may, in terms of economy, and may not always be the model and what happened. We've seen it with 2008, and we're quite resilient even towards COVID. We've shown some resilience. So we're just winding down. So a few questions there. And I'd encourage the panelists just to reply, but just a parting shot, 30 seconds. We've got 2 minutes before we close. And remember to tweet if your questions are not being replied. Tweet us and tag us. We're at Building in KE. So Mary, 30 seconds, parting shot. What's the message? Quick one, please. You have to unmute, Mary.
Real estate being a very long-term investment is here to stay.
Yes.
Construction is here to stay. Purchase for property is here to stay. For most of the seasoned investor, this is a time to buy because we are in a buyer's market. See as many properties as you can and put your money in property.
Thank you so much. Kariba, 20 seconds. Parting shot.
Parting shot. For more details, visit our website www.moad.capital.
Thank you. Thank you. Interesting models there. Eric, you had a chance. 10 seconds now.
Yes. To all the viewers who are with us on there, check out egoliestate.com. We have a good product there. Question as to whether to buy or to build. please, I would encourage you, don't get into something that you are not very familiar with. Take your time to learn.
Take your
Thank you.
time, read a book, buy a book. It's for those of you who don't know, it's 1 year since we launched our book. Yeah, visit www.buildinginkenya.co.ke and you can order your book. It will be delivered to your doorstep of your house that you've either bought, built, or you're renting. Parting shot from us, in Yvonne Okora's side, I think what I've had is this hope. What I've had is that it's a vibrant economy, but we've also had some frustrations from everybody. It's not something that we scripted or asked anybody to tell us. But we're sensing this frustration in terms of government enabling our building industry to thrive. We started 12 months ago or 18 months ago with so much hope. Affordable housing, it was this, thing that everybody's going to have a roof over their head and a toilet and to go to and flush and in terms of sanitation and the like. 12 months later, I think we are slightly disappointed, to say the least. The problems we've had with county government, 6 months, shut down the entire industry, has never happened in the history of Kenya. Interest rate manenos, as there were, things that are policy that has sort of frustrated the industry. What Eric mentioned in terms of the land registry, things that should be fixed to enable business owners, developers to thrive, people who are investing, paying contractors, paying people so that money flows in the economy and people are able to invest in real estate. I think if anybody out there is listening and I see some people asking whether this is being recorded, I think that's our message, that government must come back to what it was doing before, enabling everybody to make some money and put food on the table and a roof over their head. Asanteni sana for everybody who's joined us. Really appreciate you, and happy birthday to us. Happy birthday! Yes, thank you so much for panelists. Excellent. Wonderful conversation, a lot of interesting discussion. Please feel free to pick up the conversation on social media.
Yeah, Robyn, thank you so much. Yes, I mean, it's just been a pleasure to walk this journey with my dear friend Emma. But look for us to have an online workshop. We're going to take this on so that your learning moves from the book into a vibrant environment where you're actually getting some practical experience. So look for us on our online course. We think knowledge is key. And thank you so much for all of you for walking this journey with us to enable developers for success in Kenya. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.